Join me as I take on the challenge of building a winning stock portfolio towards our reaping financially to retire rich and retire young. Hi, you're welcome back to the channel. If you are new today, this is Flavia, and on this channel we unveil tools and strategies to investing on the stock market or any platform that we can invest to make our lives better by yielding passive incomes where we can further invest into other ventures to retire rich and retire young. You would like to subscribe to the channel if you are new, and for those who are returning to view Wealth Builders, I say welcome, and continue to like, continue to leave your comments, and I'll be glad to answer them. I'll be right back.
Income streams, they start to flow. From determination, they grow.
Having a winning stock portfolio is crucial as we want to build a financial future and reach our financial goals where we can retire rich and retire young. We need to look at how we can put, our stock portfolio together, what it composes of, and what can stand, the test of time, so that we can see our portfolio grow from stage to stage. Having a winning stock portfolio is the key to obtaining financial success. If we want to live the life that we want to live, we so much dreamt of, then we must look at how we construct our investment portfolio and what the players are that can lead us into reaping passive incomes and then to reaping, benefits that keeps on growing and inflating the portfolio in such a way that we have invested once or twice, but the subsequent investment are a complement to making our stock portfolio grow because it is the same investment multiplying itself. Now, one would ask, how can you have a winning stock portfolio? And that is the purpose for this video today. One of the mistakes that beginner investors make is looking at stocks and then selecting a certain category of stocks. I will call it putting all your eggs in one basket. And when this happens, sometimes it tends to lead to substantial losses on our portfolio. So it is important that when you are constructing your portfolio, you look at certain players that can complement each other. Right. So if there is one category that is going down in certain seasons, there can be another category that is picking up the losses and growing up in the same season. You would want to know how to construct your portfolio in this manner so that, we are not looking at building a portfolio that is stuck. We want to look at a portfolio that we have strategically put together that can be a winning, stock portfolio that grows over the years to liberating us, bringing us to our financial success and bringing us to our financial independence. Sometimes there's the mistake of emotional buying, and then, the mistake of not having a long-term perspective coupled with impulse, purchases that leads us into bringing our portfolio into a situation where when things blow against us, then we tend to lose focus, we tend to lose, the momentum to carry on with our portfolio. And what happens is that we tend to sell off, and then instead of making gains, we make losses. When it comes to building a winning stock portfolio, I would say research is the key. We need to do our research very, very well. We need to research into companies. We need to research into their backgrounds. We need to research into their industries. We need to research into their management before we can take a decision as to whether we want to invest into, such companies or not. We call this fundamental analysis. So we need to do our fundamental analysis very well in such a way that we ourselves are confident that the stock or the shares we want to, or the company we want to invest in is worth investing in. Now, another key is diversification. Sometimes there are some we could have a couple of companies that we think they are doing well, but we can, invest our monies into one category. Let's say you are investing into software, or you are investing into technology, or you are investing into gold, mining companies. Think about what you know, and then you put all that investment into one category, and let's say that you have invested all into mining. And at this time, there are problems, there are issues that come even into the mining industry. Now, what happens to the shares of such companies? Shares go down. So just imagine your portfolio is full of companies that you anticipated they are going to be performing well. And here comes, a bad side, and everything is going down. You don't have anything about tech. You don't have anything about software, nothing about AI, nothing about household consumer items, and your portfolio is just miserably in one sector, and this sector is not performing well. What then happens to you? The money keeps on dwindling, and it keeps on losing until your portfolio is ripped off and left with nothing to write home about. Like I said, having a long-term perspective is very, very important. We, as investors on the stock market, sometimes you invest into a stock, and this stock is yielding very well. You had planned that you wanted to keep this in long term, but then you realize that the stock is yielding and yielding, and sometimes you are tempted to do what? To sell off. Now, one of the mistakes that happens is that once you tend to sell off, the stock even begins to take off. You get it? So we must have a long-term perspective for our portfolio. Right. It is key to breaking financially, and then it is key to taking us to our financial success. Right. Risk management is one of the things that you want to look at when you are trying to build a winning stock portfolio. And what do I mean by risk management? Risk management is that even though we are doing long term, right? Even though we are putting our investment, we are structuring this investment portfolio for a long-term gain, we should still look at certain players. We call it market noise, little fluctuations. Those ones we don't care, because we have a long-term perspective. But when we look at our portfolio, we should think about risk. And if we are thinking about risk, there are certain things that we need to do. You go into your portfolio and look at where you wouldn't want your portfolio to fall below, and set your stop losses there. Sometimes we have a portfolio that is doing well, right? You still can have a stop loss that goes to a certain level below which you don't want that portfolio to come to. So you go to the individual investment and then put your stop losses. Okay? You put your stop losses so that in case certain things that we anticipated to have pushed this portfolio forward is not happening, then we will be cut off. But even at the point where we are cut off, we still have made profit. Then we can go back to review, our decisions and see whether we should continue and wait for price to fall for us to go back to invest in same companies, or we have other options for now that we can invest into. Now, if I say that sometimes we see our portfolio go up and then we tend to sell, it does not mean that we shouldn't sell even though we have a long-term perspective. Now, when we are even investing in long term, we still go ahead with our analysis. Now, when you look at the analysis and you look at the certain performance of a certain stock, you may want to sell and then wait for price to retract, and then you can go in and buy again. All right? I'm talking about pressure selling. That is what I'm talking about, that we should not do pressure selling. But if we see that this stock has performed so well, because we have, on the stock market, we have instances that a stock will take off, it is off, it is off, it is off. And sometimes it comes to a time where price will have to breathe, as we put it. Price will have to settle down and relax, okay? And then it has to correct. So the market will correct itself by price falling a little bit, and then it can take off again. So in that instance, you can sell, okay? You can sell, and sometimes the things that I do is that sometimes you don't want to sell off your shares, excuse me, only to realize that the stock takes off, and then you live with that kind of regret. So we have numbers. You can have certain numbers you want to sell off. If you have like 1,000 shares of a company, or you have 500 shares and you see the stock has risen so much, and you look at your analysis and you think that this thing has risen so much, and then it may return, why not sell some? You could sell some. If it takes off. So if you have like 1,000 shares, you could sell 500, take off that profit, and then wait. When it comes down, you go in to buy your additional 500 again. But supposing you sell off 500 and then, the stock takes off, you still can make your profit as you go on. Okay, so one of the things that we should be looking at to building a winning stock portfolio is to be very disciplined, and also to be adaptable, to be very flexible, so that as we move along in our investment journey, if you realize that at a point a certain sector is performing well, then what you can do is that you would want to shift, some monies from areas that are not performing well to areas that are performing well, right? So for us to have a winning stock portfolio, one of the things we need to do and do well after our research is to have sectors, okay? And you know very well that as we speak right now, at the time of recording this video, we have, sectors like household consumer items. That is one sector that you can invest in. Then we have AI. That is one sector you can invest in. We have technology. That is one sector you can invest in. We have mining. That is one sector you can invest in. We have, cryptocurrency areas that you would want to look at. It is another area that you would want to invest in. And so when there are so many other sectors that we can look. Manufacturing is there, and so on. So there are all these areas that we have that we need to look into them and see what is the prospects in these industries. What are the opportunities? Okay, where do we think and how do we think we can structure our portfolio accordingly, so that if one sector is not doing well, it wouldn't happen that, all sectors that you invest in will not be doing well. And that is why diversification is very, very important when we are looking at building a winning stock portfolio. One strategy that can enhance our winning stock portfolio is investing on growth stocks. Okay, sometimes as beginner investors, we go into the stock market and we allocate monies, and then we are just buying. Sometimes we buy cheaper stocks, when we lack that financial advice, we tend to look at how many stocks we can buy of this. And then because we have small monies, we can buy, a lot of shares here. And, one of the things I would always advise is sometimes as beginner traders, look at growth stocks. Okay? You have growth stocks that you can look at. And now, the advice, we can seek advice and we can easily reach, to certain tools and strategies where we can really get some good advice. And most of the time, sometimes I go into ChatGPT and I can ask some questions. Even if you go to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT to tell you, give you 10 growth stocks that you can invest your money in now, the data will be made available to you. So as beginner investors, let's look at growth stocks. We have the Teslas, we have the Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, they are there. So you need MP 500, S&P 500. These are areas that as a beginner, you can invest your money in and then you can go and sleep. If you are really doing long-term investment, you can invest your money in, because these stocks, no matter what happens, they go down, they pick up. All right. And they've grown over the time. They have the track record, proven, track record, growth record that you can rely on. Right. So we want to recap on what we have already discussed. And we have started to discuss about how we can build a winning stock portfolio to propel our way to our financial independence. And then we're looking at how we can diversify our portfolio. We're looking at how we can do our research to be able to select sectors that we want to invest in. And then we look at investing in growth stocks. Excuse me. Then we also look at managing our risk. And then we also looking at diversification. And then we have also looked at how to avoid impulse purchases and avoid emotional buying so that we don't wreck our portfolio. I hope you have learned a thing or two in this video, whether you are a beginner or intermediate person who is looking into investing and restructuring your portfolio. I hope that this information can further add to what you already know so that you can restructure your portfolio into a winning stock portfolio. Right, so if you are new to the channel, like I said, please, you would consider subscribing to the channel as we look at ways that we can build our finances towards retiring rich, and not retire rich and old, but we want to retire rich and retire young so that we can enjoy our monies that we have so much worked hard for. For those who are well builders who have returned to view one more time, I want to say that if you are not here, I will not be here. And I appreciate you so much. Continue to like the videos, continue to leave your comments and questions, and I'll be glad to answer them. I'll see you at the top. Bye.
Start with nothing, start today. Learn to hustle, find a way. Brick by brick you build it right. From the morning through the night. Dreams are growing step by step. Every fall a future path.